Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 289 for March 28th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, Lamar Jackson wants out of Baltimore, and two groups have put in bids for the Washington Commanders. In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the time when the AF2's Arena Cup Championship game was played in Puerto Rico. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Hi, how you doing? I haven't seen you since our trips. We
Yeah.
went on trips this weekend in two different directions.
Yep. We were quite several states away from each other, but it sounds like both our trips went fairly well.
Yeah.
And glad to be back and ready to get back into another podcast.
Yeah, here we go, recharged and ready to give Randy as much crap as possible on This Week in the World of Football.
Oh, boy. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. We're also on Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast, and she'll start playing it for you. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We had quite a few scores this week, so buckle in, everybody. It was week 6 of the XFL, and boy, we got a lot to talk about here. On Saturday, we saw the Seattle Sea Dragons defeat the Orlando Guardians 26-19, leaving Orlando as the only winless team remaining in the XFL.
Feel sorry for them.
I feel bad too. I mean, they've played tough in a few games, but man, it's just some tough sledding over there.
Yep.
Seattle quarterback Ben DiNucci completed 18 passes for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Orlando quarterback Quentin Dormady completed 24 passes for 243 yards, but no touchdowns.
Yeah, he actually had better passing stats in that game, but no touchdowns.
Just couldn't get it in the end zone, and that's where it counts.
Yep.
All right, also on Saturday, the St. Louis Battlehawks ran all over my Vegas Vipers 29-6. St. Louis was up 17-0 at halftime, while for Battlehawks quarterback A.J. McCarron, he completed 23 passes for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns. While on the Vegas side of things, quarterbacks, that's right, plural, Luis Perez and Brett Hundley combined to complete 22 passes for 219 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions for those guys in the loss. And also, apparently, we do have a trade that is going to send Luis Perez to the Arlington Renegades. So we'll see if that's actually official or not. I saw that on a XFL Communications Twitter account.
That just happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that just happened a few minutes ago. So Luis Perez no longer, it sounds like, the quarterback of the Vipers. So I can cancel my jersey. All right, then on Sunday, we saw the San Antonio Brahmas defeat the Arlington Renegades 15-9. It's the second week in a row those two teams have played each other. Arlington won last week 12-10, if you recall. But then all San Antonio points came on defense this week and special teams.
Yep, no offensive touchdowns for them. And I texted you this when I saw the score, and I said this is a huge upset, and you didn't think it was that big of an upset.
No, because I think Arlington is not as good as you think they are.
Yeah, well, I just thought the Brahmas. What's their record here? Let me check real quick.
We're going to talk about their record.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so this was only their second win.
Yeah.
So to me that was a big upset.
I don't know.
I just didn't expect the Brahmas to win.
I think the Arlington Renegades are only going to win one more game the rest of the way anyway. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, if you would have paid attention to the video we posted,
I know.
I gave my prediction on their records, and this falls exactly in line with what I was thinking. All right. Anyway, starting San Antonio quarterback Jack Cohn was injured in practice last week, so San Antonio brought in a new quarterback, John Pass. Jawan Pass?
Jawan, yes.
Jawan Pass. All right. I've seen that name written down.
I might have spelled that wrong.
Oh boy.
But it's Jawan.
Shocker, Randy writing something wrong in the script. Completed 8 passes for 57 yards and no touchdowns, while San Antonio kicker Parker Romo kicked 3 field goals to help those Brahmas get the victory. On the Arlington side of things, though, quarterbacks Drew Plitt and Kyle Sloter combined to complete 16 passes for 185 yards, a touchdown, and an interception in their loss. It was Arlington's first loss at home this season.
Yeah, the only touchdown for San Antonio was a pick six by the defense. So, and that and 3 field goals was enough to win the game. The quarterback didn't throw any touchdowns. He only completed 8 passes, but hey, the rest of the team stepped up and they walked away with a victory in that one.
And in rare fashion, on Monday night, we had an XFL game. So it was great having Monday Night Football come back. And guess what? It did not disappoint.
Yeah,
It had
pretty good
everything.
game. Yeah.
The DC Defenders defeated the Houston Roughnecks 37-26. So for those of you who bet the over, congratulations. DC remains undefeated. That's right. They are the only team without a loss left in the league.
Yep.
I think that makes 2 straight losses now for the Roughnecks.
It might be.
DC quarterback Jordan Ta'amu completed 19 passes for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns, while running back, probably Randy's favorite player in the league, Abram Smith ran the ball 19 times for 95 yards and a touchdown. And wide receiver Lucky Jackson, great name, caught 5 passes for 136 yards and a touchdown. On the Houston side of things, quarterbacks, Brandon Silvers and Cole McDonald combined to complete 18 passes for 305 yards, touchdown, and an interception, while wide receiver Deontay Burnett caught 4 passes for 122 yards and a touchdown. So some outstanding performances in this game.
Yeah.
But all anybody's talking about is the penalty that somebody got flagged for spraying a referee with a water bottle.
Yeah. And they never re-showed anything.
They never showed the highlight.
We kept one.
I didn't see any evidence that this actually happened.
Right.
But they cut away to the player as the referees were, because the referees are mic'd up. It's a great clip if you get a chance to see it. I know ESPN shared it.
I posted it on Twitter.
Okay, go to the World of Football Twitter. Randy shared it there. But yeah, it's hearing the 2 referees start having a conversation, and we were watching it live. So seeing these 2 refs get into a conversation, and I had to do a double take because I was like, wait, what did he just say? And he said, number 3 sprayed me with a water bottle. And the other ref was like in disbelief. It was great. That'll go down as one of the greatest clips in football history now.
Yeah,
they cut to number 3 on the sideline with the water bottle in hand. They didn't actually show him spraying the ref.
No,
but he had the water bottle in his hand. So that was it was very funny to me.
Yeah, there was another penalty in that game where they said some defensive player hit somebody low after the play or something, and they didn't go back and show that either.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of times when I wish.
Amazing that you have a DVR and you could have rewound it to go look at it and you never did.
Well, I thought about it, but I decided not to. You roll your eyes whenever I start trying to scroll back during the commercial.
There's certain times and places, Randy, where it is, absolutely okay to rewind and go back and look at plays. Not when the game is still going on and you don't know what the next thing's happening, but when we're watching a Lions game and you decide to rewind to watch a great pass that ended up being incomplete anyway, and the Lions have had 4 or 5 plays that we were missing, it bugs the crap out of me. Just wait till the commercial, then you can go back. Those are the rules.
I'll think about it.
Anyway, so there was that. And then the fact that there were so many penalties, and it just looked like the I almost said the rednecks, the Roughnecks sidelines. They're acting like a bunch of rednecks. There were just so many penalties. That whole sideline for the Roughnecks looked like it was just coming unglued.
Yeah, they were starting to lose it there for a little while.
I was just baffled and entertained. And I was like, this might not be the greatest football I've ever seen, but oh my God, am I entertained on Monday Night Football for the first time, and I can't remember when. It was fascinating because the Roughnecks were looked at as the best team for a while, up until the last couple of weeks. Now all of a sudden the Defenders are the best team, I think without a question. And just watching those Roughnecks just fall apart. I mean, they came back and clearly they were in the game there towards the end, but still, it was just mind-blowing to see that team just implode the way they did.
I don't know if you were still watching it. I think it was kind of late in the game. They talked about the beer snake a couple times, and
oh yeah, that's the other thing to mention. They had a beer snake again.
Yeah, but they said that it was starting to fall apart, or they had to put it back together real quick. And then at the end of the game, they were respectfully taking it apart as the game was ending. Instead of throwing it all over the place, they were taking it apart in sections and putting it down. So they were acting very adult-like.
Well, yeah, they had to go to work the next day.
Handling of the beer snake. I'll bet you some of those guys took today off just so they could go to the game last night and drink.
And contribute to the beer snake, of course.
Contribute to the beer snake.
If that's not a T-shirt that they do in DC, where I contributed to the beer snake, that's $1 million T-shirt idea for you there, Defenders Nation.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they should do that.
And if it's not being done officially by the team, then congratulations to whoever actually makes this T-shirt. Checks made payable to Adam Snow at P.O. Box. I'm just kidding. I need to get a P.O. Box.
We do need to get a PO box. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so let's quickly look at the standings real fast. In the North, the DC Defenders sit at 6-0, followed by the St. Louis Battlehawks at 4-2. The Seattle Sea Dragons
Dree Saggins?
the Dree-Sagans at 4-2 as well, while the Vegas Vipers sit at 1-5. The Houston Roughnecks lead the South Division at 4-2, followed by the Arlington Renegades at 3-3, the San Antonio Brahmas at 2-4, and the Orlando Guardians at 0-6. All right, we're going to move on over. It was week 2 of the Indoor Football League. We caught a few bits and pieces of this weekend's action.
Yeah,
here.
you were searching YouTube and
Yeah, I was showing you on YouTube. You could go back and look at their old games. So on Friday night, the Frisco Fighters took on the Tulsa Oilers. It was the first ever game for Tulsa. And I believe on the opening kickoff, as the Oilers kicked it off to the Frisco Fighters, the Fighters returned it for a touchdown. So great way to start off your tenure in the Indoor Football League, Tulsa Oilers. And they ended up losing the game 35-13. The Duke City Gladiators defeated the defending AFL champion or AFL Indoor Football League champion Northern Arizona Wranglers 43-35. The Vegas Nighthawks defeated the Iowa Barnstormers 57-44. The Quad City Steamwheelers narrowly escaped the San Diego Strike Force 49-47. The Massachusetts Pirates defeated the Green Bay Blizzard 55-41. And the Bay Area Panthers got a shocking victory over the Arizona Rattlers 47-46. How about that?
I had to read that score twice because I wasn't sure. I just assumed that Arizona won by 1, and I was going to say, good try on the Panthers side, but yeah, they actually won that game at home. So,
yep, and I didn't realize we were watching some of the game highlight from that game, and former San Jose SaberCats head coach is actually coaching that team. I forget his name at the top of my head, but I remember seeing him. For years he was with the SaberCats, and now he's coaching over with the Panthers there. So good on him, and maybe this is a year to watch out for the Bay Area Panthers. Remember that last year we were dogging on, or 2 years ago we were dogging on the Northern Arizona Wranglers. They had a great season, won the whole IFL National Championship last year. Now this year, could it be the Bay Area Panthers' turn to turn things around? We'll find out.
See, yeah.
And now we're going to throw it over to Randy, who's got Champions Indoor Football.
Yeah, CIF Week 4. On Saturday, they had 2 games. It was the Salina Liberty over the Topeka Tropics, 66-65 in overtime. It was the Gillette Mustangs over the Sioux City Bandits, 28-18. And then on Monday night, another Monday night game, Monday night in the IFL, the Billings Outlaws defeated the Rapid City Marshals, 49-18. The Omaha Beef were on a bye this week, and the Southwest Kansas Storm actually had a non-league game, and we don't talk about non-league games. So,
because we're hoity-toity, and
That's
we have standards here.
that's right.
Except when
These are
Randy
CIF
wants to.
scores, not
Except when Randy wants to bring up the Lingerie Football League, then we have to bend over backwards to put that score in here. Sheesh.
And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
All right.
So let's move on to some NFL news.
Well, real quick, also, I do want to mention, usually, so it'll be a few weeks. We usually let these new leagues get about halfway through the season before we start going through the standings. So give us some time, and then we'll start talking about the standings for both Champions Indoor Football and the Indoor Football League. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, in NFL news, Lamar Jackson wants a trade out of Baltimore. This just came out yesterday.
Yeah, he tweeted this out, I believe.
Yeah, he told the team back on March 2nd that he wanted a trade, but it just came out yesterday when he sent out a tweet about it. He's acting as his own agent, so I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I think he's the only one in the league that is representing himself.
Well, I'm sure there's other guys, but it is weird. You did bring up, like, didn't he, is he franchise tagged? And yes, he's got that non-exclusive franchise tag where he could technically field offers from other teams, and the Ravens could match it if they wanted, or receive 2 first-round picks for him. So I don't know if this is just another strategy part of that. I don't know how that affects being franchise tagged. If they don't make a trade, maybe he'll just sit out. Like if he's franchise tagged, we've seen that happen with players before.
Yeah, I think they said he's going to be making $34 million if he played under the franchise.
Clearly, he thinks he's worth more than that. So. Or at least he wants, more guarantees. Because I get that. Being a running quarterback, the way he is, his game is very unique and special. And we've seen him get banged up playing his style. Because when he's healthy, he is one of the most dangerous players in the league. When but we've seen the other result, which is he gets banged up, he gets hurt, and he's no good when he's not out there. But I think he's looking for some assurances, like, hey, look, I will continue to play my style of game. I just want to make sure that I'm not losing money just because I get hurt playing this style. So
Yeah. Well,
we'll see.
there's only been one fully guaranteed contract, and that was Deshaun Watson. And I thought that was a terrible,
Oh yeah, that's
terrible
dumb.
thing for them to do. The Browns anyway. So I'm not a fan of fully guaranteed contracts. I mean, you can guarantee a lot of it,
Well,
and they
yeah,
have, and
I
they
think I
have.
think I think there should be big chunks that should be guaranteed no matter what, and then incentive everything else or whatever, however that works. I'm
Right,
not a contract negotiator,
right.
but I agree. I think more players need the guarantee because I get it. They're putting their bodies on the line. They're going out there. Their style of game is what draws us as fans to them. That's why the teams grab these type of players because they love that style of play. But some of them have that downside where, like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray, their game is predicated on scrambling and moving around and all that. And God forbid they get hurt playing and, they lose playing time and,
Well, I just wonder if he actually had a league approved agent, if this thing would have been done by now. Yeah, I don't know how much doing this by himself is hurting him or is dragging this out. I don't know. I mean, everybody else has an agent. I don't see why he couldn't have found somebody to act as an agent for him. Somebody that's approved by the Players Association or whatever. Just to be a you know s- whisper in your ear. Give you some ideas. Here's what we should do, or here's try this instead of this, and I just think he's hurting himself by representing himself. So
I don't know about that. I think clearly he's got a reason for doing it. I think, when people represent themselves, I think they know what they want or feel like they know what they're worth. But
mm,
like you say, it could be a big mistake, maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see this play out, and then we can decide, like, was it worth him
yeah.
going this route or not.
Okay, something that I saw just earlier today. There's now a Don Shula's American Kitchen restaurant open at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Village in Canton. Now, I know they were talking about a Don Shula steakhouse going in there, and man, I've always wanted to try a Don Shula steakhouse. I know they're big around Florida and some of the southern states, and I've always wanted to try one. And I was so excited to hear one was coming up here, but now they're calling it Don Shula's American Kitchen, but I'm sure you could probably get a pretty decent steak there. So I think a road trip is involved to go to this restaurant now.
Who else on their World of Football bingo card had Randy's going to bring up food at some point for no reason whatsoever?
It's Don Shula's American Kitchen, which I've never
Okay,
even
you
heard of
always
before.
find a way to bring up a steak on this show. I don't know how you do it, but you do.
Absolutely.
It's either, hold on, what's the other square I got here? Well, I just hope he doesn't talk about visiting a grave. That might be the other spot on the bingo card.
Did that last week.
Of course, and circle gets the square.
Article coming soon.
Oh, God. And mentioning an article he did. All right, crossing that box off, too.
But the best steak I ever had
Oh, God, he's still talking about
was
steak.
at Vince Lombardi's Steakhouse in Appleton, Wisconsin. My buddy
Oh.
Mike Barksdale and I went there once, and it was the best steak I have ever had in my life. It was a gorgeous restaurant. They had a lot of Vince Lombardi memorabilia. I guess the family has donated a bunch of pictures and other things for the restaurant to display. Very nice. It was in the lobby of a hotel, and but yeah, that was the best steak I have ever had in my life, and I really want to try one of these Don Shula steaks. So that's why I'm saying we need to do a road trip. And there's a couple of graves over towards Canton that I want to get to this year also. So we'll go over there, snap a couple grave pictures, have a steak, and come home. So that will be a great day for me. All right, in some other news, two groups, I guess, have submitted bids for the Washington Commanders. I don't have the details in front of me. But I know one of them, I think it was a Canadian billionaire that put in a bid for it.
I believe so. I think one of them is the owner of the 76ers and New Jersey Devils. So
Yes,
the,
that's right.
the basketball team,
Yes.
76ers, and then the NHL team, the Devils. And I believe, I guess Magic Johnson might have joined that group too. That
Mm,
was the big name that kind of I heard join that group of
okay.
uh, trying to make a bid. And then, yeah, Josh Harris / Mitchell Rails Group has submitted their offer. Um, and then some Canadian billionaire. I'm trying to find his name because it was a
So,
long.
so is that three different groups then,
I
or
think
is
it's
that
two. It's still two different
okay?
groups.
Okay.
Canadian billionaire Steve. Oh boy, you're bad with names. Here
Yeah.
I go. Apostolopoulos,
Hmm.
Astopoulos
Hmm.
also has submitted a fully funded $6 billion offer for the Commanders.
Wow.
So that's two groups have been known to submit bids. There is a growing belief that a purchase agreement could be in place by the NFL
Yeah,
draft.
I did see. I was going to add that. That much I did know is that they're pretty happy about both of these bids. So I think they're probably going to go with one of those.
And the best reaction, of course, to hearing how much the Commanders are worth was, oh God, the greatest soundbite coach right now, which is Mike McDaniels with the Dolphins, saying, "Oh wow, they're worth that much? Man, I couldn't even afford a cup of coffee, or they couldn't even give me a free cup of coffee when I
Yeah,
worked there."
I couldn't
So
even get free coffee while I was there.
yeah, so it's a great clip, man. McDaniels always. But so yeah, so two ownership groups now in play. Now it's just a matter of which one will or if
Hmm.
Dan Snyder accepts. So
Hmm.
it'll be very interesting.
Hmm. Okay, and the last bit of NFL news is, and this just came out a little
Yeah,
while
this
ago too.
literally dropped like right as we were getting ready to record, like right as we were sitting down.
Yeah, because they're having the owners' meetings out in Phoenix, and so the news is starting to trickle out from that. So there'll be a lot of news stories in the next few days. But they've decided that players can now wear the number 0 in the NFL. I guess it was the Philadelphia Eagles that made this proposal,
Yep.
and I am not in favor of this at
No,
all.
I'm totally down with this. I think it's cool. Um, and we even have the first player as of right now that I know of that I've seen scrolling through Twitter. The first player to say that they will wear number 0 will be Calvin Ridley, who was suspended for a year for gambling.
Hmm.
He signed with the Jaguars last year, so he didn't play it all last year. But he will be the first player to don the number 0.
Hmm.
And as I was reading the article on the NFL app there, it sounds like the only group of players that can't wear the number 0 will be offensive and defensive linemen. Everybody else, it's like fair game. And it also sounds like they tweaked the rules for the punters. Now, punters can have jerseys 0 through 49 and 90 to 99. So now you can maybe even see punters wearing, 23 or,
Well,
40 or whatever.
that's been a big trend in college. A lot of college teams have players with wearing the number 0. But to me, it's always going to come back to George Plimpton, and I don't want to see another quarterback in the NFL playing with the number 0 because that is George Plimpton's number. And I think the Lions. I don't know if they've officially retired that number, but I think they should. I would want to see a Lions quarterback wearing 0 because that is definitely George Plimpton. So I'm not happy about. Everybody else wearing 0 because it cheapens the historical aspect of that number, and especially with the Detroit Lions.
I mean, for the Lions, we'll see. I think they could still have somebody wear number 0, but maybe that'll make a comeback for Plimpton jerseys. Who knows? Maybe the Lions will end up retiring Plimpton's number before it even gets handed out. Who knows? But I think it's fine. I think it's kind of cool to see number 0 out there. It was cool seeing it. I think watching college football because didn't college just allow that to happen last year, a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's been a year or two.
Because like
It's
every time we
everywhere
sit
now.
down and we watch a random college game, we'll go, "Oh, there's a number 0."
Yep.
It's still kind of rare that players do it, but when you see it, you're like, "Oh, there's a number 0."
I still think, I told you this before, I still think that the Lions should add George Plimpton to their Pride of the Lions, like their Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
and with that number 0 on there, just because it's uh, for since the 1960s, ever since then, that number has been associated with the Detroit Lions and with George Plimpton. So I hate to see it going on to everybody
I don't know,
else.
but think about the 00 with Otto Graham.
That was cool.
That was always cool. So maybe teams will allow the 00 again. Maybe the Raiders especially will get somebody to do that again.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think this could be fun. I have no problem with it. I'm not an old curmudgeon like you, so um,
Okay.
I'm all in on the number 0s.
And heck with you.
Whoa, easy there. I am your business partner here. You can't just say that to me.
Oh, I just did. Moving on to some CFL news. The CFL still wants to build a relation with Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional, or the LFA, in Mexico.
Wow.
That was a mouthful. One idea is the possibility of having a couple of CFL teams go down there for preseason workouts, practices. And there's also been discussion about holding a CFL game in Mexico as early as 2024, though it's not known if that would be an exhibition game or a preseason game or a regular season game. The CFL and the LFA have had a working agreement since 2018, and you remember back about that time they started getting agreements with all kinds of football leagues around the world. I don't know if they had any in Japan, but I know there were several others in Europe, football leagues around Europe and Mexico. And then they had workouts. They brought in players. They had a player draft. Teams picked one or two players from these other leagues to start out the season. Some did well, some got cut before you know it. But yeah, this was big. They were trying to expand their global footprint, and then COVID came along, and all this really got shut down. So I haven't heard much talk about the other leagues in Europe, but I know that the CFL still wants to have some kind of relationship with football in Mexico. So
Now the LFA has been a league that I've been trying to get us to cover on this show for a while.
yeah,
They're halfway through their season right now. I like to follow them on Instagram. I think they got a really cool championship trophy.
Hmm.
I think they might be a fun league to, break down some history lessons with. But they've got some, great team names. I've had to use translators on some of them, but I mean, they got great logos. And from what I've read, kind of trying to get caught up on their history. It sounds like a very
Mhm.
interesting history to this league, and having a partnership with the CFL is pretty cool. So, yeah, they got 10 teams right now this season. I think last year they had 11.
Okay.
They're halfway through their season. They have one undefeated team and two teams that are winless, the Jefes and the Galos Negros, or the Black Roosters, I
Mm.
believe they are called. And the 4-0 team is called the Caldeos. I don't know what that's. I used the translator, and all it gave me back was Caldeos. So whatever that means. But like I said, I dig their logos. I think the Raptors are a team that's been around since they've been around. I think they started in like 20. Oh, I could be wrong, so don't crucify me. Like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. They've been around, and the Raptors are like the oldest team in the league.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so I like catching up. They got some cool logos and uniforms. I always like scrolling through their Instagram.
Hmm.
So
Well, I don't do Instagram, so
I know you
I've never
don't.
seen that.
That's something we might have to be teasing here. That the World of Football Instagram coming soon,
I don't know. I don't know. I think Facebook and Twitter are plenty for now,
and Instagram
and
coming
LinkedIn.
soon. Don't worry.
That'd be up to you. Okay, some USFL news. The Memphis Showboats unveiled their uniforms, I think yesterday, or was it today?
Yes, today, this morning, I believe.
Yeah, but uh, you know, every other USFL team has basically kept the same colors. They've tweaked some logos, but they basically kept the same color scheme, except for Pittsburgh, who recently went from their purple to black and gold to
Right,
match all the
and
rest of the teams.
also brand new uniforms announced just the other day too.
Right. But yeah, the Memphis Showboats used to be like red and silver,
Oh, it was a great color scheme.
and they've totally changed it now. Now it's blue and
It's like
blue
blue.
and
It looks like
yellow
Michigan
or
colors. Navy
blue
and
helmet.
gold
They've come up with a whole new
design.
showboat, boat on their helmet where it used to be like the paddle wheel design. So I hate these new uniforms. If you're going to be the Memphis Showboats, you should look like the Memphis Showboats. Don't change your color scheme. And I kind of get why
The logo had to
the
change.
Maulers did
Oh.
that. I can understand that they wanted all their teams to be the same. Fine, you kept the same logo, and now instead of purple and white, it's black and gold. So I have less of a problem with that. But this one here, no, you're the Memphis Showboats. You're supposed to have that half a wagon wheel. Not wagon wheel, but um, what is it? The paddle wheel boats.
Yeah.
Half of that on your helmet, and your colors are red and silver. So I'm sorry.
I think if they would have
I hate
stuck with
this.
the color scheme, and if you wanted to update the logo like that, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the color scheme. I think they already got a bunch of teams in that league that are. I mean, they do got a team that's red already. They already got some teams that are blue. So maybe they could have just gone with silver and had red be accent, so they could have been a silver. I think there could have been a way they did it to where they could have stood out color wise. Otherwise, a lot of these teams are going to start looking the very samey.
Yeah.
The uniforms already look samey. With especially the showboats and the Maulers kind of coming out with uniforms at the same time. It's the same style, like that Tennessee Titans, where the shoulders are one color and then the rest of the jersey is a different color. It's like it's been there, done that. It's not too special, but whatever. We'll see what they look like when they're out on the field.
Well, I'm calling for a throwback jersey already.
Hey,
for the Memphis
maybe give
Yolos.
them a year, then maybe they'll go. Yeah, we're gonna go back to our old color scheme. But hey, if the Maulers can change their color scheme, so could that.
We'll see. All right, today's birthdays. Quarterback Derek Carr turns 32 years old today. Played his college football at Fresno State. He was selected in the second round of the 2014 NFL draft by the Oakland Raiders. He played for Oakland from 2014 to 2019. He was with the Las Vegas Raiders from 2020 to 2022, and he just signed with the New Orleans Saints for the 2023 season.
Yeah, hard to believe he's been in the league for 10 years. I
Yeah.
mean, Derek Carr, like, I was just thinking about that. I was like, who was the last Raiders quarterback before Derek Carr? And I can't even name a guy.
Mm.
Now all of a sudden
Jim
it's
Plunkett.
well, now it's Jimmy Garoppolo, but Derek Carr, I'll always picture him in that Raiders uniform. I like Derek Carr. Seems like a good dude. So happy birthday.
I didn't realize he was that old, 32.
That old.
Well, that's getting up there, you know.
I'm
He's
34.
not Tom Brady
No.
age, but still, your career is usually winding down once you get to your 30s, especially
Oh,
for
please.
a
These
quarterback.
quarterbacks nowadays, he's like halfway through his career now.
I don't know about that. All right, obituaries. We've got a couple of them today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. First obituary is that of Mike Kaddish, a defensive tackle in the NFL for 10 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 72. Kaddish played college football at Notre Dame and was selected with the 25th overall pick in the 1972 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins. He spent the 1972 season with the Dolphins on their taxi squad, so he never actually played in a game that year. And he was traded to the Buffalo Bills in 1973. He played the rest of his career with the Bills from 1973 to 1981.
All right, our next obituary is that of Bob Breitenstein, an offensive lineman in the NFL and the American Football League, has passed away at the age of 79. Breitenstein played college football at Tulsa and was selected in the second round of the 1965 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. He was also selected in the fifth round of the 1965 AFL Draft by the Denver Broncos. He signed with the Broncos and played in Denver from 1965 to 1967. He was then traded to the Minnesota Vikings during the 1967 season and played the rest of the season there. He then finished his playing career with the Atlanta Falcons in 1969 and 1970. Breitenstein holds the distinction as being the first person born in Argentina to play in the NFL. He was inducted into the University of Tulsa Athletic Hall of Fame in 1994.
Another obituary is that of Mel Semenko, a defensive lineman in the Canadian Football League for 3 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 85. Semenko played college football at Colorado and was selected in the second round of the 1961 American Football League draft by the Denver Broncos. However, he signed with the CFL's British Columbia Lions and played for the team in 1961. He also played for the Ottawa Rough Riders in 62 and 1963, but he was traded to the Montreal Alouettes during the 63 season, and that's where he finished his brief playing career.
And finally, I don't. Did you want to do this one? You sound like you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll do this last one.
All right.
I threw this in at the last minute. Just real quick, Detroit sports writer Jerry Green has passed away at the age of 94. He worked for the Detroit News from 1963 to 2004, and he attended every Super Bowl as a reporter through Super Bowl 56 last year. I think he was the last reporter to attend all the games. After he retired as a columnist, he continued to attend the Super Bowl for the newspaper until his streak was broken just earlier this year. And I've been reading Jerry Green for years. When you were a kid, I'd come home from work and I had a nice bike seat for you on the back of my bike, and you and I would ride down to the post office from our house, and I would.
Now, for those of you visualizing it, it wasn't a bicycle for two. It was like a little car seat, like attached to the back of his bicycle.
Yeah, it was a mountain bike with a kid's seat on the back, and I'd strap you in there. And we'd go down to the.
We'd take the wooden trails, and he'd hop off the half pipe, and we'd go down to the store.
No, we would go down to the parking lot, post office, which I think was maybe a mile away. Maybe not quite a mile.
I'd say that's about 2 miles.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'd go down there and put a couple coins in the newspaper box, and I get a Detroit News and a Detroit Free Press, especially on Mondays after Lions games to read stuff. And Jerry Green was always the one that I enjoyed reading the most. And I was just telling you this the other day. many years ago, back in the 80s, Jerry Green wrote an article in the paper about how bad the traffic was getting in and out of the Pontiac Silverdome. And I never actually drove into the Silverdome. What we would do is we would go to a parking ramp a few miles away, and we'd park in this parking ramp, get on a shuttle bus, and we never had any problems getting in and out of the games on a shuttle bus. It was great. And so, this is the 80s. So I actually, wrote him a letter. I don't know if I typed it up or if I hand wrote it, whatever, but I wrote Jerry Green a letter and I said, you know, you should tell people about um,
Shuttle bus
the shuttle
system.
buses because that's great. And he actually wrote me a letter back. I don't know if it was typed or handwritten. I've got it around here somewhere. I looked for it a little earlier, but I didn't see it. But I know I kept that letter. He took the time to write me back and say, to say thank you for your input, but I still say that the traffic in and out is terrible. And he's right. If you were driving in and out, it was going to be a mess. But we avoided that by taking the shuttle bus. So yeah, somewhere I've got a letter from him. If I find it, maybe I'll put it in a frame or something.
That's what you should do.
Yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
told me that when I was like, well, where's this letter at? Prove it. And you said, I don't know. And I look around at the clutter in the world of football man cave and go, huh, no wonder nothing can be found.
Well, I'm bringing in an archaeological team next week to
You-
go through some of this stuff
oh,
and
you'll
find
pay
stuff.
them, but I'm sitting here having to buy my own way onto this podcast. I see how it is.
Hey, I got a nice path getting to the door. So.
I think there's mushrooms growing on that pile right there.
Oh, I hope they're mushrooms and not something else. All right. Anything else before we go into this week's history lesson?
Nope, still no breaking news from the NFL owners meeting.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot today, tomorrow, the next day.
Oh,
this
I'm
whole
sure
week.
it might trickle out. If they're approving this rule, I wonder if they're deliberating on other rules right now. So maybe we'll find some other cool rules that'll come out.
Hmm.
Oh, and then like the Lions announced that they're gonna have a joint practice ahead of their Week 1 preseason game with the Giants. They announced that they were gonna team
Okay.
up to do
Yeah,
that.
they did Indianapolis last year.
Yeah,
So I guess is that going to be in Detroit?
I'm not sure. They doesn't
Going-
specify, so
Okay.
it probably depends if they. So that probably means that the Lions and Giants are playing each other. So
Right.
just I don't know if that'd be a home or away game yet. Maybe that hasn't been decided.
Okay. Okay. Well, in that case, let's move on to this week's history lesson. And this week we're going to talk about the AF2, which was a developmental league of the Arena Football League. And in 2006, they held their championship game in Puerto Rico. The Arena Football League debuted in 1987 with just 4 teams. But by 2000, the league had 17 teams spread out across the country. In 2000, the AFL created its own developmental league known as Arena Football 2, or AF2 for short. In the first AF2 season, there were 15 teams in smaller market cities. The championship game of the Arena Football League was known as the Arena Bowl, and the AF2 title game was called the Arena Cup. With one exception, the Arena Cup championship game was played at the home arena of the team with the best record. However, one title game was played in a very unusual neutral site. Arena Cup 7 was played at the Kalamazoo de Puerto Rico in San Juan, Puerto Rico on August 26, 2006. Spokane Shock defeated the Green Bay Blizzard 57-34 to claim their first AF2 title. The AF2 did not have a team in Puerto Rico, but wanted to showcase the game there in hopes of fostering future expansion. The playing field actually had to be shipped to the island by boat. This was a very ambitious undertaking for the AF2, and it was the first and only time that an AFL or AF2 championship game was played outside the continental U.S. But it was not the first game ever played outside the lower 48. The AFL had a team in Canada called the Toronto Phantoms in 2001 and 2002, and the league played a number of exhibition games in Europe over the years. The Arena Football 2 also had a team in Hawaii for 3 seasons called the Hawaiian Islanders from 2002 to 2004. The 2006 Arena Cup was originally set to be played in Bossier City, Louisiana, home of the AF2's Bossier Shreveport Battle Wings. But a change became necessary when the Dallas Cowboys New Orleans Saints preseason game was scheduled in Shreveport just 5 days before the AF2 title game. When the AFL ceased operations after the 2008 season, the AF2 continued to play in 2009. In 2010, the AF2 acquired the assets of the parent AFL from bankruptcy and rebranded itself as the new Arena Football League. The AFL continued until 2019 before it folded due to financial difficulties. In 10 seasons in the AF2, no game was more unique than the 2006 Arena Cup game that was played in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I can't believe, it took them that long to play a game outside of the country, other than, a couple of regular season games, but championship game in Puerto Rico, who'd have thunk it?
I just, at the time, I kept thinking, why are they doing that? The fans wouldn't be able to go to Puerto Rico. I think you needed a passport to get there, even though it's a U.S. territory. You still needed a passport, and you couldn't, you had to take a boat, which would take you a day or so,
I mean, shoot, they sent the field
or
over on a
fly.
boat. I mean,
Yeah, and so yeah, I just thought it was bad for the fans. I know they wanted to spread their game and maybe eventually put a team in Puerto Rico, but I just thought it was a bad decision at the time. But it's still fascinating
it
that
is fascinating.
they pulled it off. They got there, they played the game, and I don't know if they left the field there or what. They brought it back.
Yeah, and you didn't tackle this in the story, but like I learned because like you did your research, you put the story together, and then we have the full video that'll be up tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that if you're following us on YouTube. If you're not, why not? Get over there. We're a few subscribers away from hitting 300.
Woohoo.
But no, like doing some research, like I found a documentary about the Spokane Shock on YouTube.
Mm.
I saw like looking at some of the footage that the field that they brought over was it looked like the Macon Knights
Hmm.
field, I believe.
Which is another AF2 team.
Another AF2 team. So they used their field for this championship game between the Green Bay Blizzard and Spokane Shock.
Hmm.
Why they couldn't use the field from either of those two teams is beyond me. So, but whatever. So yeah, video up tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, that kind of makes sense because the Macon, Georgia, I mean, they're right on the coast.
Oh.
So, Seattle or Green Bay, you would have had to truck it to the coast first before you could put it on a ship or
there you go.
fly it there.
Maybe we figured it out.
Yeah, it could be. Okay, upcoming events calendar. Saturday, April 8th. That's a week from this Saturday. The National Arena League season begins.
With the Nets.
With the Nets, yep.
That'll be
To see how
interesting.
that goes. Let's see, Sunday, April 16th, the USFL regular season begins. April 27th through the 29th, the NFL draft in Kansas City. Tuesday, May 2nd, the CFL draft is going to take place. Saturday, May 13th. I've been saying the 23rd all this time, and I finally figured out I had that wrong. So it's May 13th is the XFL championship game in San Antonio. Friday, May 22nd, the CFL preseason begins. June 8th, the CFL regular season begins. And on Thursday, August 3rd, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game will be played in Canton, Ohio, between the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets.
Yep.
Will we see Aaron Rodgers in a Jets uniform on that game?
He probably won't play preseason, no matter even if he's with the team. But it sounds like they're still working on that deal, and they're not in a rush to do it. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, if nothing else has popped up on your phone,
not unless you care about the television show Succession, which I'm all about, then no.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. Go over there and let us know. Should we start an Instagram account? You can also follow our Twitter account. The address is at TWOF Kalamazoo. Head over there. Let us know. Should we start an Instagram account? New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. You can search for our YouTube. Just go in that search bar and just type in The World of Football Kalamazoo, or use the handle youtube.com/@theworldoffootball. You can also find us on Amazon Music, so simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. Feel free to subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, and leave us a comment. Let us know in the YouTube comment section, should we start an Instagram account? You can also, just let us know your thoughts. We've had a lot of great conversation with people enjoying the IFL.
A steady stream of comments on our YouTube videos.
It's been great. Since I'm the one who mainly does a lot of the responding, but we've had a lot of stuff about the IFL. A lot of people talk about the XFL. It's great seeing all these, different people who are into all these different leagues. It's so much fun to interact with you guys all across the globe. I mean, we got a guy out in Australia who's upset and, well, I guess a little upset, disappointed that he can't watch the XFL on the regular out there in Australia. It bums me out for him. But fix it, Dwayne. What are you doing, Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
Oh, okay.
He's too busy getting in a fight over Shazam. That's a DC Comics stuff we don't have to get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I got to finish reading my bit of the script.
Yes.
So yeah, come be a part of the football conversation. Or if you want to talk about John Wick, I really want to talk about John Wick with people too.
Yeah. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football
Or John Wick
than we do. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job, I'm Randy Snow.
And go out and see Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's not doing great at the box office. Help it out. It's a good movie. And go see John Wick.
The only thing I can say about Shazam is that the star of the movie played Kurt Warner in another movie. So there's your football reference.
Fantastic.
We bring it back to football.
That's Randy. Randy Snow, always bringing it back to football
That's
or
right.
steaks.
Football and steak. Eating a steak while you're watching a football game.
Or eating a football while at a steak restaurant. I don't know.
We'll see you all next week.
This went off the rails very fast.
Yes, it did. Thanks to you.